You asked Scott about, just real quick, you asked him about what the Republican plan is. And he couldn't answer. There's no plan.
I literally said
and the
free
thing
market,
about Donald Trump
choices,
is he's
lower
not,
cost.
he's just,
That's a
the thing
concept.
about Donald Trump is he's not an outsider anymore. He's
Yeah,
been in
still
government a very
savings
long
accounts.
period of time. And then to your point about the SNAP's benefit, about Democrats being the party of humility, a government shutdown is an ugly business. Two wrongs don't make a right. Donald Trump was the one that refused that the rainy day fund that SNAP had
No, Democrats
be let
refused to
out.
open the government.
No, they refused.
They
There
refused to
was a
open the
rainy day
government.
fund in place for that very reason of a possible government shutdown. Two courts ruled against it. He has to do it. He still may not comply. Who knows? So don't say that's a Republican talking
Democrats
point.
voted
But back
to
to
keep
the
the
healthcare.
government shut down.
Obamacare, there's issues with it, but if you break it, you bought it. We can fix it within the system, or we can do something else. Your point about making it privatized, there's a lot of private healthcare insurance out there. None of it is affordable.
In today's video, Dylan Douglas destroys Scott Jennings on NewsNight with Abby Phillip in a fiery exchange about the future of American healthcare. Dylan Douglas takes Scott Jennings to task for repeating the same old MAGA talking points on Obamacare without offering any real solutions. While Scott Jennings struggles to defend the GOP's lack of an alternative plan, Dylan Douglas exposes the hard truth that repealing the Affordable Care Act without a replacement would leave millions of Americans without coverage and drive healthcare costs even higher. So let's dive in and watch how Dylan Douglas shuts down Scott Jennings on NewsNight with Abby Phillip.
What is the plan that Republicans are putting forward? Because you do hear over and over and over again that Obamacare is terrible. You hear it every single time from Republicans. This is a mess. Why do subsidies need to exist? But I have yet to hear a robust plan from Republicans.
Well, generally, they want more free market choices. They want people to feel like that their insurance actually is usable. Right now, premiums are really high. Deductibles are really high. I mean, I don't know about you all, but I know tons of people who have insurance that would tell you, it doesn't even feel like I have insurance at all. I pay. Look, I have a small business back in Kentucky. Every year I get a letter from the people that we get our insurance from. Your premiums that you pay for your employees are going up, 10, 15, 20%. I can tell you this, the insurance benefits never get better, and the employees that I have would tell you, it doesn't ever feel like they're, any better off because of it. We pay more, but the health outcomes and the insurance benefits that they get aren't any better. In fact, sometimes they're worse. And so it just feels broken, and it feels like you don't really have any choices. To me,
but you don't
the
have
best way
choices because Republicans have not shown a robust plan. I hear the diagnosis of the problems, but where is the legislation, the full legislation that you can say, hey, we're going to replace this. This is our plan. Obamacare is over here. We don't want this.
I'm not sure Republicans are going to be for a government-run or government-mandated system. What they're going to be for is free market choices, giving people more choices that would probably drive down costs and put them in more direct touch with their own health care. Right now, they're in touch with insurance companies, which don't do anything.
But you know what, Scott, there's a lot of things in Obamacare, there's a lot of things in the ACA that Americans like, whether they are Republicans or Democrats or anything in between. The idea that you can't get kicked out of health care because of a pre-existing condition, the idea that there's no caps, all of these things are things that we've all benefited from, particularly the neediest amongst us. Look, I think this issue is not going to go away. And we're going to be talking about this because we're going to hear horrible stories. People are not going to be able to afford their insurance. I don't think even with subsidies, they're going to be able to afford the premiums that are hiking up 100, 200, 300%.
You can really tell from this exchange that Ana Navarro hits a nerve when she challenges Scott Jennings on what Republicans are actually offering to replace Obamacare, because that question exposes a huge gap. And the truth is, she's right to press him on that. Republicans have been criticizing the Affordable Care Act for over a decade, yet they've never managed to pass or even unify around a comprehensive replacement plan. The only consistent idea they put forward is this vague notion of free market choices, but history shows that doesn't automatically make healthcare affordable or accessible. If we look at the data, the ACA, for all its flaws, actually brought the uninsured rate in the US down from about 16% in 2010 to under 9% by 2016. That's millions of people who gained coverage, many for the first time in their lives. It also gave Americans popular protections, like preventing insurance companies from denying coverage based on pre-existing conditions, something 27% of adults under 65 benefit from, according to Kaiser Family Foundation. Meanwhile, Scott's argument about high premiums ignores what's been driving those costs. Studies have shown that repealing the ACA's cost controls and subsidies would send premiums skyrocketing, and that's exactly what's happened in states that refuse to expand Medicaid or implement ACA marketplace protections. So while Republicans talk about choice, those choices often mean higher costs and fewer safeguards for consumers. Ana Navarro's point stands strong here. If you're going to tear down Obamacare, you need a real alternative. And so far, Republicans have only offered sound bites, not solutions.
Wasn't Obamacare supposed to fix that?
When people, no, well, not without the universal, I mean, there's
Affordable Care Act.
Yeah,
Affordable was the
listen,
first word.
The Republicans have been chipping away at the ACA, and I think this is going to be the death of the ACA, but it's also going to be the death of some Americans who don't go get screenings, who don't get diagnosed early enough in order to get treatment, who go in and instead of being stage 1 cancer are going to be stage 4 cancer, and we're going to hear horrible stories because Americans are going to choose to drop health insurance that they cannot afford. And we as a country have got to figure this issue out.
You asked Scott about, just real quick, you asked him about what the Republican plan is, and he couldn't answer. There's no plan.
I literally said
and the
free
thing
market,
about Donald
more
Trump
choices,
is he's
lower
not,
costs.
he's just,
That's a
the thing
concept.
about Donald
In touch
Trump
with
is he's not an
doctors, not
outsider
insurance
anymore.
companies.
He's
They're
been in
still
government a very
savings
long period
accounts.
of time. And then to your point about the SNAP's benefit, about Democrats being the party of humility, a government shutdown is an ugly business. Two wrongs don't make a right. Donald Trump was the one that refused that the rainy day fund that SNAP had.
No, Democrats
be
refused
let
to
out.
open the government.
No, they refused.
They
There
refused to
there was a
open the
rainy day
government.
fund in place for that very reason of a possible government shutdown. 2 courts ruled against it. He has to do it. He still may not comply. Who knows? So don't say that's a Republican talking
Democrats
point.
voted
But back
to
to
keep the
healthcare,
government shut down.
Obamacare, there's issues with it, but if you break it, you bought it. We can fix it within the system, or we can do something else. Your point about making it privatized, there's a lot of private healthcare insurance out there. None of it is affordable.
But
And if you think of getting rid of an
you've
affordable
been
option
in
would make
Congress
it
and
more
you have
so.
seen vote after vote after vote to repeal Obamacare. And the
About
question is to
75.
replace it with what?
This exchange really shows how Dylan Douglas and Ana Navarro are on solid ground when they push back against Scott Jennings' talking points. The reality is, Republicans have spent years trying to dismantle the Affordable Care Act, yet every time they've had the chance, they failed to produce a real alternative. And that's not an opinion, it's a fact. From 2010 through the Trump administration, the GOP voted over 70 times to repeal or weaken Obamacare, but not once did they introduce a comprehensive plan that would protect Americans with pre-existing conditions or lower prescription drug costs. And Dylan's point about Trump not being an outsider anymore is spot on. After 4 years in office, Trump had plenty of opportunities to present a replacement for the ACA. Instead, his administration supported lawsuits to strike it down entirely. If that had succeeded, over 20 million Americans would have lost coverage, according to the Congressional Budget Office. That's not reform, that's regression. Ana Navarro's concern about Americans skipping medical care is also backed by hard evidence. A 2023 Gallup survey found that 38% of Americans delayed or avoided medical treatment because of cost, the highest rate in 2 decades. When healthcare becomes unaffordable, people wait until it's too late, turning manageable illnesses into life-threatening ones. And let's not forget the SNAP issue. When Trump tried to restrict food assistance during a shutdown, 2 courts ruled against him, yet his administration still resisted compliance. That shows this isn't just about policy, it's about priorities. Dylan and Ana are right. If Republicans insist on breaking systems like the ACA without offering real fixes, they're not solving problems. They're creating crises.
Nothing, a concept.
Correct.
That we're still hearing at that. When 2 courts said to Trump, feed these children, he has appealed that.
Why can't those
Why
two
won't he
judges?
feed the children?
Why won't Democrats feed the children? Why don't we have? Hold on. Why don't we have 2 judges say to Democrats, "You must vote to open the government because kids are hungry"?
Wait, but here's the
What
thing.
Do 2 unelected
Actually,
judges have that authority?
Just
I don't
answer
think
the
so.
question. You can ask
Why?
answer the question with your question all you want to, but the fact of the matter is,
An unelected judge probably does not have the authority to
believe-
tell the executive
Well, there
branch
are
what to
three
do.
different branches
Well,
of
they
government.
this
did.
is my
They
question.
can and then they
Doesn't
did.
supposed to be
And
called-
snaps
judge
The
can work without.
Do you believe as a member of Congress, a judge can compel the executive to spend money that you haven't appropriated?
yes, I do.
Oh.
Yes, I do.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought we didn't want kings.
Nobody
Maybe we
wants
need
king.
king for a day. What do we need? I mean,
Okay, but wait.
that is
Judge-
literally a king, spending money that is not
Judge
appropriated.
is not a king. The
No, you're
judge-
turning the president into one if he
don't
can
know.
spend without appropriation.
Well, now, if you got a rainy day fund, it was appropriated at
Correct.
one time. The fund didn't come out of the air. The money is sitting there. Now, they didn't appropriate it yesterday or the day before, but the money was appropriated last year sometime, and the rainy day fund was there for this purpose.
Who
And rather than
appropriated
use
the,
it
who
for
appropriated, who appropriated the $40 billion for Argentina?
My view is, as a look, you guys have been railing against Trump being authoritarian, having too much power, too much executive power, and at the same time, Democrats have been arguing that he should go out and spend money that has not been appropriated
The
this
money
It
was
year
has been
appropriated.
by
appropriated.
Congress.
It's $3 billion
Where did it
that's
come
in a
from?
rainy day fund.
Where did the rainy day fund come from?
Was it specifically for this
Yes,
purpose?
correct.
I
It was
don't know.
three. It was three. I know for a fact it was $3 billion that's appropriated through snaps, specifically for either disaster relief situations or government shutdown. Trump said he didn't want to spend the money. People are going hungry because of it.
Because
We should
Democrats
be-
voted to keep the
but
government
we should
closed.
be clear that the shutdown that happened before this was the second longest. It was during the Trump administration, and guess what?
This-
SNAP was funded.
Right.
So this one is different.
This perfectly highlights why Representative James Clyburn and Dylan Douglas are making the stronger case here. The argument about whether the president can use already appropriated funds, in this case the SNAP Rainy Day Fund, isn't some abstract legal debate. That money had already been approved by Congress specifically for emergencies like government shutdowns or natural disasters. It wasn't new spending. It was sitting there, meant to make sure that low-income families could still eat even when political gridlock halted normal operations. Scott Jennings' framing makes it sound like Democrats were calling for unchecked executive power, but that's just not accurate. There's a clear difference between spending money that hasn't been appropriated and using funds that already have. The Trump administration refusing to release SNAP emergency funds wasn't about fiscal responsibility. It was about politics. The USDA itself confirmed that during the 2018 to 2019 government shutdown, millions of households risked losing access to food benefits. That shutdown, the longest in US history, disproportionately affected children and working families, groups the SNAP program was designed to protect. Dylan Douglas is right to point out that this is a moral issue as much as it is a legal one. When people are hungry, debating over technicalities doesn't help them put food on the table. Representative Clyburn's reasoning also aligns with decades of precedent. Congress often sets aside contingency funds precisely so the executive branch can act swiftly in times of crisis without waiting for another round of votes. Ignoring that purpose out of political spite hurts ordinary Americans. In short, Clyburn and Douglas are standing on both moral and practical ground here, while Jennings is defending partisan obstructionism disguised as constitutional concern. Pause. Are you getting tired of getting half the story from biased news sources? One outlet says one thing and another says the complete opposite. How are you supposed to know what's actually true? That's where ground news comes in. It lets you compare how different media outlets, left, right, and center are covering the same story. So you can see the full picture instead of just the echo chamber. And here's the best part. Click the link in the description and get 40% off the Vantage tier, which gives you even deeper insights into media bias and political trends. Stay informed, think for yourself, and check out Ground News in the description down below.